Now let's move it over. We usually go alphabetically to the Miami Dolphins. A reminder for our YouTube crowd, 2020 Fantasy Football Almanac and Draft Guide available. Better fantasy football analytics, proprietary algorithms. You can't find them anywhere else. We have proprietary analytics here that you're not going to find anywhere else. And, of course, my ridiculous amount of watching football. I watch every single game. I plot the plays to isolate matchups. Check it out on the link below. You can get it on Amazon. It's really cool. But the Miami Dolphins, so last year, you live in Miami, so you know kind of firsthand. But last year when we were watching these games and we were going through week by week and making our picks against the spread, I noticed, especially early in the year, the Dolphins had issues in the fourth quarter. The first three quarters, they would play tough. And it's not that they didn't play tough. Like, the effort was always there. It kind of reminds me of, like, how Mike Tomlin gets the Pittsburgh Steelers up to play, like, every week. You know, they always play hard, and they always play hard for Tomlin. That's the way Flores seemed to get and galvanize his team. The problem with the Dolphins, they had no depth and no players. But over the course of the season, of course, they go away from Josh Rosen, they get to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick likes to throw the ball downfield. Fitzpatrick is the consummate kind of backup, always going to go 8-8, 7-9, 9-7.
Sure.
You know, he's not bad enough to suck, but he's not good enough to really make a deep run in the playoffs. But he's serviceable. The Dolphins go on a run at the end of the year. Remember, everybody thought they were like the worst in the league, and they end up winning 5 games. It went on a run in the back half of the season. So, like you were saying, Brad, everybody's kind of on the up here. You draft Tua in the and I always say Tua because I always screw up the pronunciation. Tagovailoa. I always say Viola, like
I'm
Frank
not
Viola. Tagovailoa. It's always Viola. I say Viola. It's Vailoa. I say Viola, like Frank Viola, a pitcher for the Mets in the freaking 90s. I just can't break that. But anyway, Tua, they draft Tua at number 5. They stick with their draft position. They add a bunch of pieces. Their first round picks this year. Hold on, let me run down. I have the draft board set up in my almanac here. You get Tua, you get offensive tackle Austin Jackson at 18. You have another guy who's hard to pronounce, Igbenogany, but I can get that one in the first round. They add offensive line depth. They add depth in the defense. Then in free agency, Brad, they go crazy. They hardly lose anybody, but of course, like we said, they didn't have depth. They add Byron Jones from Dallas, Kyle Van Noy from New England, Shaq Lawson from Buffalo, Eric Flowers from Washington, Manuel Ogbah from Kansas City, Jordan Howard now at running back. From Philadelphia. So they Ted Cross, another fellow from New England, but interior offensive line help. Dude, they've kind of reloaded. They have a lot of draft picks going forward. I don't think Tua's going to start the season. I think it'll be Ryan Fitzpatrick. But you got Devante Parker. You got Preston Williams, like I said, coming off that ACL, but he's going to be back. Mike Gesicki started to kind of respawn last year. The running game was awful last year, but you enter in a new offensive coordinator there with an emphasis on the run with Jordan Howard, and they also trade during the draft, Brad, for ex-San Francisco 49er Matt Breida as a pass receiving option. Dude, they got weapons everywhere. Tua, I don't think he starts the season as a starter, especially with the limited offseason thanks to COVID and all this stuff. But Fitzpatrick, like I said, man, he's an 8-8 type quarterback. If they go to Tua at the back half of the season, then you have like that extra fire. I like this team. I like him.
Yeah, I do too. You know what else I like about having Fitzpatrick at quarterback is, he's not Joe Montana, right? We know this. Yeah. But the game is not too big for Fitzpatrick, right? And he seems to have a lot of confidence in himself. And he's probably, right? And he's probably very limited by his skill set, and that's fine. But he can ball out. And he does have moments, and I think he can provide a big spark. With regards to last year, them not playing well in the fourth quarter, it's almost like you almost have to learn how to win. Yeah. It's like a skill that these guys have to come together and create as one. And maybe they go through those growing pains and figure it out. And it's like you figure it out one time, like you come back from down 10 in the fourth, like one time, and all of a sudden you're a different animal, right?
It's like the Kansas City Chiefs last year in the playoffs when they were down by double digits every time. Did you ever see the Chiefs panicking?
No, they just knew they could win. They knew it.
The closest I saw to it was in the Super Bowl with about 7 minutes left when the bench players kept going up to Mahomes saying, "Hey man, you can blah blah blah." And Mahomes, I loved Mahomes' reaction. If you watch I loved the YouTube mic'd up version of that. It's like a 40-minute from NFL. If you haven't seen it, Brad, go back and watch it. You'll love it. But it's 40 minutes of mic'd up with a bunch of 49ers players, a bunch of Kansas City Chiefs, and of course Mahomes is mic'd up. And I remember I think it's Matt Moore, their backup quarterback, ex-Miami Dolphin, by the way. was like on the bench. I think there's 7 minutes left in the game. Of course, you're down. And he's like, you just got to believe, man. You got to believe. And Mahomes the whole time just like, dude, I'm believing. Who's not believing? Yeah. I mean, the confidence there. And while you're watching the game, we talked about this. While you're watching the game, while I was watching the game, we had confidence that Kansas City was going to be able to, because that offense, you can't keep them down forever. But like you said, too, like you got to build that confidence over time. And what really struck me last year, and I know I mentioned this already, it was the way this team fought. Like they were overmatched in most of the games, and they fought, and they just had like, okay, so we always kind of bang on ex-New England assistants, like they have a tough road in the NFL, right? Like the most successful at this point is Bill O'Brien in Houston, mostly like Romeo Crennel.
Great.
Yeah, right. And so like I look at a guy like Matt Patricia in Detroit, and it just seems like Detroit, like the players don't like him. Right? It's like they don't want to fight for this guy. They don't want, like, when thick gets thin and with 5 minutes left in the game, they don't want to fight and go into the trenches. And,
right. They're not really buying in.
Yeah, they don't want to swarm tackle. They don't want to chase down players. Miami, they were doing that all year, and I'm like, man, this guy's got the locker room. And you saw that in the second half of the season. Let me say this. I like Buffalo. You like Buffalo. We both do. It would not shock me in the least if this team makes a run, wins 10 games. It really honestly wouldn't shock me given what they did in the back half of the season last year. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Would I bet my money on it? No. But I'm going to say I wouldn't be shocked. Chan Gailey, by the way, taking over at offensive coordinator, he's going to get that running game going. They're going to be two-dimensional. There's a lot to like on this team, man. And I'm going to hit you with this, Brad.
Yep.
Over-under here, season win total, 6.5 for the Miami Dolphins.
Over.
I am way on the over there. Well, I shouldn't say way.
8 wins.
I think 7 or 8 wins is realistic, and it, like I said, it wouldn't shock me if they won 9. Wouldn't shock me if they win 10, especially like if Tua kind of gets that job and starts doing his thing. And we just talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's that 7-9 to 9-7 type quarterback. I don't care if Fitzpatrick starts all season. By the way, he started like the last 4 years of Chan Gailey coaching. Ryan Fitzpatrick was his quarterback. He knows the system. It's going to be a pretty nice, smooth transition for this team. I like it.